What's up folks, it's CrushSG and today I'll be showcasing Preem LUT, otherwise known as the unfortunate overshadowed older sibling of Nova LUT. Jokes aside though, I say that because TheCyanideX first uploaded Preem LUT a few days before uploading Nova LUT, and I had actually downloaded it on the day it dropped, fully intending to do a showcase on it at some point. Before that could happen though, Nova LUT dropped and it exploded in popularity, received multiple updates and variants in quick succession, and then we had E3 VR and GITS drop some updates, and a host of other lighting mods dropped updates as well in December leading into January. The short of it is Preem LUT just kind of fell by the wayside, taking a back seat in my showcase plans. Well, it so happens that Preem LUT just got a new update a few days ago in the form of version 2, and I figured now would be as good a time as any to finally give it the showcase it deserves. Quick overview first as always. Preem LUT is a lighting mod that features both an ENV and a LUT file separated for convenience. Unlike Nova LUT, which uses the AGX color space, Preem LUT uses the ASUS color space, which is the color space used by most LUTs. Quoting the description, Preem LUT has natural tones with a soft highlight roll-off, providing visuals that are subtly pleasing without too much chaos. Onto the comparison clips. For this showcase, I'll be providing comparisons with vanilla, as well as comparing the Preem ENV with the vanilla ENV. Let's do the ENVs first, and I chose to run the side-by-sides with Preem LUT enabled on both sides, with the only difference being the ENV. The reason I did it this way is because the vanilla LUT has a much more limited color range, and Preem LUT is more neutral, so the ENV differences should hopefully be more obvious this way. Alright, so the major visual difference between the ENVs is that vanilla is kind of foggy pretty much all the time, day or night, whereas Preem LUT reduces the fog density quite significantly during the day, making things far clearer. But then it brings the fog back at night, so it retains some of that atmosphere. There are also some small differences in bloom and such between both ENVs, but it's kinda situational and a little hard to showcase in a video. The other major difference is, of course, the presence of the vignette in the vanilla ENV. Preem ENV has no vignette whatsoever. Now, it's quite tough to showcase the vignette in a side-by-side by virtue of the fact that vignettes tend to affect the outer edges the most, but the one thing to note about the vanilla vignette is that it covers way more of the screen than it looks at a quick glance. So aside from the obvious edge darkening, on closer inspection you'll notice that the colors usually seem a little muted with the vanilla ENV, and the highlights are reined in a fair bit. Now this is not just because of how vanilla handles lighting, but more because of how big the vanilla vignette actually is. I talked about this very briefly in my Nova LUT Vibrant showcase, but to expand a little, this is the primary reason why most LUTs feel muted or even slightly desaturated when paired with the vanilla ENV. I wouldn't outright class this as a negative though. It's really personal preference. Some hate the vignette, some don't mind it. I personally don't mind the base vignette too much. What I really dislike is the crouch and the ADS vignette. Whatever the case, Preem ENV does away with the base vignette entirely, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you do want to run the vanilla ENV but don't like the vignette, There are 3 or 4 vignette removal mods available on Nexus. I'll link a couple that I've used in the description. And now let's take a look at the full lighting mod comparison between Vanilla and Preem LUT. Okay, let's talk about this. So, Preem LUT pleasantly surprised me. As mentioned earlier, I downloaded it and used it for a few days when it first dropped, but never got down to showcasing it. I think the host of lighting mods I tested and showcased thereafter kind of muddled my memory of what Preem LUT brought to the table. The description is spot on. The colors are very vibrant, yet it comes across very subtle, and I didn't think those two things could coexist in the same lighting mod. Where most lighting mods either attempt to make colors pop by cranking up the contrast or the saturation, Preem LUT feels like it kinda eases the colors into the image, if that makes any sense. Sure, it might not be as true to life realistic as something like Nova LUT, to my subjective eye, but it still looks pretty natural. I also like the fact that it carries a warmer tone right out the gate, and those who have watched my other showcases probably know that I personally tend to prefer a slightly warmer tone to the game on a whole. So aside from lighting mods like NCLM, Neon Genesis, and most E3 style LUTs, I've almost always had to resort to using reshade to warm things up a little for many of the other lighting mods I've used. This warmer tone also lends itself well to NPC skin tones, where NCLM still holds the crown in my book for healthy-looking NPC skin tones, but Preem LUT comes really close to that. Overall, it carries just the right amount of warmth for my preferences, meaning temperature correction in reshade is completely unnecessary. Another positive is how it handles neon lights and signs. Thus far, Vanilla and Nova Vibrant are my personal benchmarks for great-looking lights and signs, and though not quite as good as those two, Preem LUT handles it surprisingly well. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, a common problem with many LUTs is they don't handle lights and signs well, even if they look great in almost every other aspect. The issue here is one of color tone and gradient, where colored signs and lights tend to be flooded with oversaturated colors with very little gradient to them, often completely lacking the white glow that is characteristic of such lights, and this results in a loss of depth and refraction detail not only in the lights but in the surrounding area, and is especially apparent in most car taillights. While I'm admittedly pretty ignorant on the topic, it is to my understanding that this is quite a well-documented limitation of the ASUS color space. Anyway, maybe this matters to you, maybe it doesn't. It does matter to me because it is something that can't be fixed by reshade, so Preem LUT handling this well just further reinforces that this is a great LUT for non-reshade setups. Okay, let's wrap things up. Overall, Preem LUT and Preem ENV come together to make an excellent lighting mod, and I like it a lot. It just gets a whole bunch of things right for my preferences, so much so that it might have just taken the top spot on my list for non-reshaded setups. I've also heard that it works very well in HDR, though unfortunately I don't have a HDR monitor, so I am unable to test it out. Anyway, that's it for the showcase, folks. Hope it was helpful, and as always, links are in the description. Feel free to check out my other mod showcases. I'll have links for those in the description as well. Thumbs up if you liked it, crush that sub button for more content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, folks.